My career sucks.
Sex just isn't the same.
What's my purpose?
Where did this fat come from?
My relationship is killing me.
I'll never be happy.
My debt is piling up. I'll never find love. Why can't I be like other gay guys? Hey guys, it's time to get a grip, stop whining, make a bold move, and do something amazing with your 40-plus gay life. Let's get to the show with your Tell It Like It Is host, Rick Clemons, who does his best to never act like a dick or a diva unless you act like one first.
Hey guys, it's time for another episode of 40 Plus Gay Men Gay Talk. And you know what? We're gonna cut to the chase here today. Let's talk about love. Let's talk about love leaving and love not being found and how to break those toxic habits of the stuff that we too often find ourselves struggling in our gay world. But what could happen if you started to really embrace love again, that you let go of those toxic patterns and you found a way to attract that true, fulfilling love? And I know some of you are rolling your eyes right now going, ain't going to happen. It isn't that possible. Well, it won't happen with that kind of an attitude. But I think my guests and I today are going to be able to walk you into some ways to navigate those heartbreaks and those toxic relationship patterns so that you can truly fuel your life with a passionate space of love and healing and transformation to find that love you so well deserve. He is a lovely man, hailing all the way from Heidelberg, Germany. His name is Lonay Halloum, and he does some amazing work here. And I hope that you just give us some moment to enjoy your rainbow journeys towards love and give Lonay some opportunity to share his wisdom, his insights as a coach, as someone who has been certified in RTT practitioner and hypnotherapy to really uncover where love comes from. So, Lonay, welcome to the podcast, man. So glad you're here.
Hi, Rick. Thank you very much for hosting me as well. I'm really happy to be here and excited.
I know it's evening time in Germany when we're recording this. So we're kind of keeping him, away from going and drinking some good German beer and having some good German food. So, but I don't know if that's true, guys. I'm just throwing it out there. But I'm excited that you're here because this is something, it doesn't matter where you live on the planet, right, Lonay? Like gay men or the LGBTQ community in general, we really struggle with this embracing love piece. And what drew you to the work? Let's start there.
Yeah, you're right. Like, I feel the LGBTQ community, like across the world, is kind of interconnected because we share more or less the same or like similar struggles. And because, I mean, we are a minority at the end and we are facing the same kind of pressure worldwide. More places more than others, of course. But yeah, so what brought me to this is actually so first of all, so the moment that really triggered this interest in me was after a really bad breakup, really hard breakup for me. I felt it was like my first relationship and first love and everything that you uncover about yourself afterwards. It felt like I was really shattered afterwards. And I didn't know, I knew there was something deeper. There was something that goes beyond just me losing my ex. I knew there was something really inside that I need to to tackle. So I started following some, different mentors online, different YouTubers, different psychologists, and watching all these videos and also doing all these self-help courses and so on. And I realized, yeah, it was actually kind of the tip of the iceberg, and I only managed to really uncover a lot of the insecurities that I had and a lot of the like deep-seated beliefs that I had about myself and about my love life and what kind of people I attract into my life. Only when I managed to kind of deep dive into the subconscious mind. And that happened when I tried RTT as a client at first. And it was really helpful to really see how there are these childhood memories that unlock your or like create your whole belief. It can be very simple, like a very simple
Mm,
memory, or it can be very complicated, like trauma or something. But the effects that it has, and like you don't know what's like how this led, or like that memory or that experience led to your current situation within your love life or your
hmm.
insecurities or anything. And
Yeah.
only then I found out, okay, this is actually deeper than like it seems. And yeah, that's where I started really looking into like RTT and how to help more and more people also within the community. And it has different branches, like when people say like, oh yeah, a relationship coach, usually like I feel a relationship covers a lot of things. Like it covers about self-worth and confidence and all of that. So it's not just, like I don't know, swiping on Tinder or
Right.
using Grinder or something.
Well, those
And
are
yeah,
easy things to do, right? Swipe
yeah,
and use grind. Those are the easy things. But I love this piece, that this shattering that you talk about, because
yeah,
it's such an interesting space that when we in any relationship, but especially when it's an intimate, loving relationship, right? That of course we're going to be shattered, and then a lot of this stuff that most people don't realize actually stems from our childhood.
yeah,
It shows up, but in the shattering is where the opportunity lies. And too often we're so focused on, I just got dumped, or I feel bad because I'm leaving someone. In fact, somebody recently that I know is going through a breakup. And so he and I were talking about it. I wasn't his coach. We were
yeah,
just talking as friends. And I said, so what's the opportunity here? He's like, what do you mean? What's the opportunity? I said, okay, you're the one walking away. So what's the opportunity? What is the opportunity you're looking for?
yeah,
And it actually came down to an opportunity to uncover a relationship. And he actually used the words that doesn't feel toxic every day I wake up. And so we got into a really interesting conversation about what that toxicity looks like for him.
hmm,
What was some of the toxicity he was bringing into the relationship? And by the time we got done, he really got my question about what the opportunity was. But had I not put it in front of him that way, I could have just been a good friend, just like, and I did, okay, because I don't like to coach my friends. Even though sometimes they're like, "Can you coach me around this?" I'm like, "Nope, we're friends." I mean, I'll give you some guidance, but I don't want to coach it unless you're really open to it. But I'm like, there's
yeah.
intimacy that there's intimacy in friendship. Then there's a whole different intimacy coach to client.
That's so true.
And I found that this shattering piece was so deep in him
Hmm.
that he had to start to see that the shatter was really a good thing, even though he's the one who kind of threw the rock and shattered the relationship window.
Yeah.
So when somebody is in that space like you are, and like we've all been, and any of you listening, just embrace the shattering. We've all experienced it. If you say you never have, then good for you. You're kind of lucky if you haven't. What is the thing that you feel like? First, let's define RTT, because some people may not really understand it. So, what is
Sure.
RTT therapy? Let's start there.
So just to keep it short, RTT is short for Rapid Transformational Therapy.
Mhm,
And it's based mainly on hypnotherapy, but also includes other methods like CBT
mhm,
and yeah, mindfulness, and also it's like a lot of its tools is designed in accordance to like neuroscience and how the
mhm,
brain functions and the mind works when it forms like these neural pathways, which forms our belief system and how we process our experiences using our mind, and how then we can shift this kind of neural pathways and create new ones, and yeah, to make it like deeply rooted within us again and create new beliefs that will help us with our current lives. So yeah, this is kind of in
mm.
short, and we do that using hypnosis basically. And a lot of people actually, I don't like to use the word hypnosis because it sounds like these magic shows we see
Right.
on TV or theaters or whatever. Um, but it's just basically a very deep state of meditation. It doesn't feel
Hmm.
anything different than meditation. So you're still in control. You're still, I will still ask questions and you will respond, and the RTT practitioner basically. But it's just, yeah, you're just very relaxed basically.
Hmm. And the beauty of being in these spaces, because I've had some RTT through a therapist I worked with for a while. Um, to me, it is. I love that you described it as like it's a deep state of meditation.
Mm.
I'm a practicing meditator on daily practice, and I even find that for me, once I was introduced to these tools, that I can, if I give myself the permission. So here's the key for guys. If I give
Exactly.
myself permission to go to that space, I can be standing in a grocery store thinking about something that's like just swirl in my mind and go, wait, let's just pause here for a minute. Let's really like, okay, let's get mindful of what's going on. Why are you allowing this to, spiral you into this space? Where is this really coming from? And I know you guys are listening, going, really, you're standing gross. I'm like, yeah, I can actually do this. Like, let's just be focused right now on this. Let's just be focused on getting through. Like if I'm getting irritated because the line's taking too long, I'm like, wait, let's back up. The line is going to take this long. That's just what's happening right now. So how can I be in a different space with this in my own head? And I know this doesn't sound like meditation, guys, but it kind of is. I'm starting to realign my neural pathways and everything. Like instead of being, let's get angry and everything, I'm starting to
Yeah.
do some of this. Am I standing there like hypnosis? No, but I am quieting the mind. And oftentimes, what happens, especially in these trigger points of relationship, an argument with your boyfriend, or oh, I wonder why isn't he home yet? Is he out there cheating? Is there somebody else? Or oh my gosh, we just went through a breakthrough. What an asshole he is. All of these things are our mind going, let's go crazy. Let's go. Let's go to the circus, right? And what Lonay is so beautifully introducing us to is another forward way of like, let's calm down and let's not, your feelings are justified,
Of
but let's
course.
really start to understand the feelings and where, it's going into that deeper space. What is
Yeah.
something that as you started to learn this and experience it for yourself, what's something that you were like, this really amazed me, or kind of, I don't want to say shocked, but maybe that's a good way. Like, I didn't realize the power of this. What's something that came up for you?
Um, I would say so. Even before I had this experience, I always thought of myself as someone who's very reflected and can really, look at myself from an outside perspective. But then after this, I realized that the amount of self-sabotage I was doing, it was just
Mm,
it was terrible. Like I was so unaware of how I was sabotaging myself and myself within the relationship and also in other relationships, whether friendships or anything. And it was very subtle that even the people around me, they couldn't even notice it.
mm-hmm,
Um, so that was really like an eye-opening moment for me sometimes when I realized stuff and I was like, oh, actually, that was on me. I did this.
yep,
I attracted this.
mm-hmm,
And that's also something, yeah, we don't like learn, through life, or we learn it the hard way, kind of, is to reflect on ourselves, like in every situation. Even if there's somebody who wronged us, it's always good to first ask ourselves, like, what did I do that put me in this place in the first place? Like even if you were in trouble and someone else did you wrong, then in a way, you attracted this, right? Like the power of manifestation. And even if the other person is wrong, it's always good to, of course, if someone wronged you, it's of course good to seek justice, but at the same time, like reflect what did I do that let me attract this kind of experience in my life, or what am I trying to learn here, or what lessons I can learn from life here. And this is something, it's very powerful and like a tool that you learn once you have this like ability to communicate with your consciousness and as well as to tap into your subconscious mind, then you have this kind of interconnection and you basically start kind of having a better relationship with yourself because you're able to talk with yourself as if you're talking to a friend next to you.
And sometimes this is the thing I think we miss as humans. You are
Yeah,
your own best friend in these situations. Now, I I love the opportunity to talk to myself. I know that sounds really weird, guys, but to literally open up and talk to myself and say, what the heck is going on here? What the heck is really happening here? Because sometimes it's almost ridiculous that we drive ourselves into these spirals. And I'm being really honest here, guys. I have been there. I have driven myself into the spirals.
yeah,
And then I wonder why I can't do this better, you know?
yeah,
And when I do figure that out, um, I'm like, okay, here's what I can do and what I'm capable of. And suddenly the world changes. I know that sounds really kind of strange, but it does suddenly change, you know?
exactly. Yeah, I mean, like a lot of us, we keep, like for example, for my experience, I was always just attracting very like unhealthy people or like toxic. I was stuck in a toxic
Mm-hmm.
pattern myself. And only when I like instead of saying like, oh, why does this keep happening to me? Why do I keep, like ending up in these situations? And at first I was asking this in a way that I was always blaming the world to it, like, oh, why does this keep happening to me? Like victimizing myself. And then the moment I started asking myself, like, why am I like attracting this kind of people? There's something happening deeper than I know. And that's when everything started to happen. As you mentioned, everything started to change.
Mm-hmm. And what is one of the benefits of what started to change for you? Like when you say it all started to change, what was something that you saw that really um, manifested differently in your life?
So first of all, like I'm being here like an open book, basically. Actually, the main or like one of the root causes for me that let or like made me end up in this kind of toxic pattern is it's kind of like my relationship with some members of my family in the past. I mean, I love my family very much, but I mean, there are no parents who don't screw their kids anyways.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, so basically, because nobody's perfect, right? So you cannot really raise perfect kids. Um, and it really made me understand their perspective as well, and like it really helped me. Like now, my relationship with these members of my family, it's much stronger because now I understand where they're coming from, and I understand where my problems are coming from, and how these memories. I also managed to see them from their perspective, and they didn't like intentionally cause what I went through. And that really brought peace within this like relationship, or these relationships basically with my family members. Um, and it also made me more at peace with myself. Like I even of course like sometimes I on when I go out on dates or so on, I of course still encounter toxic people with
Of
like within
course.
the dating sphere, of course, but I am now like I kind of get these alerts right away, that like, oh, this is now like I can recognize the patterns and I can just not waste my time. Basically, I used to go out for month and month with somebody, and then something like until I'm super drained, and then I would
Mm-hmm.
leave, and then I find myself completely broken. And now I just stop it before it even starts, like because I'm now able to recognize these patterns and just stop them. And I'm not even attracted to these patterns anymore. Like the moment I realize it is one of these patterns, I'm immediately turned off and I'm like, okay, I'm getting out of there.
Mm-hmm. And so when you say like getting out of there, what is something that immediately, I know this is simple, it should be a simple question to answer, but like I'm getting out of there. What's the shift in your own energy, your own feelings when you are able to move out of that space?
It just like I mean, now it would sound bad, like my defense mechanism. It
Mm-hmm.
sounds like I'm not opening up, but in like a different way. It's like the moment I realize that because I don't need this pattern. So the patterns, they came from some childhood memories, let's say, and in a way that I interpreted it as a way that like the only way for me to find love is to always prove my self-worth to that person and always kind of run after this person, like, in like my affections and everything. And only then I can be loved. And that was like one of my main limiting beliefs. And when now I see or like I encounter people who are toxic to me, especially when it comes to dating, I immediately realize like, I don't need this anymore. Like I'm not like because I'm not trying to prove anything to anyone. So I don't even have like I stop having the energy to invest in that person in the first place. So it's like from the energy of being interested to like immediately the shift to zero energy, like zero motivation, zero capacity to invest in this person. I'm immediately shut down because I know, okay, I don't need to prove myself anymore. And it just then so easy for me to like just leave before even like, and also during the process of learning this and gaining these like insights and so on, like during the healing process, let's say, um, like it was still hard. Like even when I realized there's a pattern, it was still sometimes difficult to get out of it. But now, like after some time, it's much easier. It gets much easier to recognize the patterns and immediately have this energy shift and say like, no, I don't need this. Why am I doing this to myself?
Right.
And immediately lose interest.
But I think that's the thing, Lene, is part of breaking through is seeing the patterns. It
Yes.
is really hard if we don't, I worked with a client a couple of years ago who's like, I don't know, every time I get in a relationship, uh, I just know 3 months it's going to be over. And I'm like, so why is there a 3 month pattern? He goes, what do you mean a 3 month pattern? I said, well, you said every 3 months. Um,
Yeah.
he kind of got quiet. He goes, I never noticed that. I said, this is the awareness. We're starting to step into a beautiful awareness. And I wasn't doing any RTT, deep therapy, any of that sort of stuff. So I think it's the key piece of our own self awareness when we can start to see the pattern, act on that, and create a whole new space for being present in it. Um,
Yeah.
One of the things I have struggled with throughout
Yeah.
my entire lovelorn life, so to speak, is I never was really good at dating. I would find somebody, latch on, hold on for dear life. And now that I've learned to understand the attachment styles and everything, I'm somewhere between the fear and the anxious attachment style sort of person. I'm like,
Hmm.
I'm fearful they're going to walk away. I'm fearful they're going to walk away. I'm fearful they're going to walk away. Right. I'm anxious
Yeah.
that, oh, wait, is this going to work and all this sort of stuff. But here's the interesting piece. And this delves right into what you specialize in. When I did therapy about coming out and everything, I remember the moment this unlocked for me. I'm like, wait, this is all focused around my parents and their marital issues and my fear that my parents were going to break up and my dad was going to walk away because my dad walked away numerous times. This was his powerful sword that he yielded. I'm going to leave you all and you're going to be left by yourselves. And I can still hear that voice, right?
Mm.
Well, here, all those years later, as I started to try to be in my own relationships, and then even when I came out of the closet and left my wife, I'm like, oh my gosh, I am my father. I am my father right now. And I had to really work through this, Lene, because it's like, wait, okay, you're actually not your father because you actually are leaving the relationship, but you're leaving it not because you're going to use it as a threat. You're leaving it because this isn't who you are. Yes, you're breaking up
True.
the relationship. And man, was that a moment, Lonay, because I'm like, wow, I am not my dad. I am not
Yeah.
him whatsoever. But because I was able to finally put this in a very interesting box, I became alive. I quit looking at relationships as the thing to fear. Even when my first boyfriend broke up with me, the guy that I was in a relationship with, and the reason I came out, when he broke up with me, oh, I was I was shattered big time. But
Yeah.
I remember thinking, wait, I have to hold on to this feeling and learn from it. And I wasn't coaching at this point. I wasn't doing any of this. I was just in the midst of going through a divorce. And I remember navigating that. And then the next string of guys, I'm being honest, guys, I went through a string of guys. Um, each
Who
one I
didn't?
realized, yeah, I realized I was doing the hold on for dear life, but each time hold on and let go a little bit more and let go a little bit more and let go a little bit more until I'm like, just be in the relationship. Let's just see where it goes. Don't be creating the whole expectation. And man, it was such a different shift because I finally started going, let's breathe. Let's just breathe. And I think that's
How
what you're bringing to people. So go ahead. What was your
do,
question?
do you remember like a moment? I mean, first of all, it's very impressive, like the experiences you went through, and how you came out of this and how you like really reflected. It's so hard. Like people think, oh yeah, like just talking to myself is easy, but it's actually talking to yourself is one of the hardest things you can do.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, And yeah, my question was like, was there a moment for you where, like, one of the final moments in your healing process where it was kind of like an eye-opening moment, and you were like, why am I doing this? Do you remember that
Mm.
moment, or is it now absent?
No, I remember, I don't know, I'm going to say it was probably after the fourth guy that I was trying to date. So I was really trying to like, okay, so guys who've listened to my podcast, they know I was a serial hookup artist in my marriage. I was never faithful. I'm not proud of it, none of that stuff.
Okay.
But I had had a lot of sexual experiences, so many that I hate to admit I couldn't even put a number on. Okay, because I was just like, let's just get off and okay, that's satisfied now. Let's go back to life.
Yeah.
But it was probably the fourth. Let's see, one, two, three, four. Yeah, the fourth guy that I felt like, oh, this is it. I finally found my guy. After coming out, it was in the first year that I came out. And I'm like, wow, I've already gone through four guys that I said to myself, be aware of what you're doing. Ask yourself, is this really what you need to be doing right now?
Hmm.
And just take a breath. And that was the first time I felt like I was giving myself some space to heal
Hmm.
from coming out, going through a divorce, starting to step back into being I was always a dad. I mean, I was always a good dad, but really stepping into these are my priorities. And I even had that conversation with myself, Lonay, about what's your highest priorities right now. And I put dating as a fourth or fifth priority in my life. And I was still on what we didn't have the apps. We didn't have all the luxuries that all you guys have at this point in time. I was on a thing called Plan It Out, which
Hmm.
was kind of you could have a profile, but it all went through email notifications and back and
Okay.
it's back in those days. And I even said to my closest friends, I said, I'm not going to be looking to date anybody right now. I'm just going to enjoy. Didn't mean I didn't go out on dates, but I was like, if I went out on a date, I was really clear up front, like, hey, let's just have a good time here. I'm not looking, literally, I know everybody says I'm not looking for anything. And even so this was a big transition, got to the
Hmm.
place where I would get asked out and I would actually give myself permission to say, thanks, you're a great guy. I'm just not in the dating mode right now. And that's
Wow,
one of
very
the first
powerful.
moments that I really felt like the healing was starting to happen because I wasn't operating from this find a guy, grab on, latch on, or my life's going to be ruined. And I started having more room in my world for my kids, again, I was a good dad, but I felt like I was like excited to have my kids because I had them every other week, and it was tough. It's like, okay, and then magically my husband showed up out of the
Wow.
blue, and it was probably a year and a half into that, like just releasing myself. I
Mm-hmm.
even joke with my friends, like, I'm going to go back to my hoe phase. I'm just going to be a big hoe for a while and just have some really good sex. And even then, what I found so interesting, Lonay, is as soon as I said, okay, just go back to having fun and having good sex, that wasn't even a priority. When it happened, it was actually really, I mean, it was probably the really good first good sex I was really having,
Mm-hmm.
because I was like, this is all I'm here for. Let's just be
Yeah.
here, because I released myself into this. There wasn't like, are we going to make it? Are we going to become boyfriend? None of that crazy was going on. And so, you asked the question, where the healing, it all happened kind of in that little bubble there of releasing myself,
Yeah.
admitting I don't need to be dating, admitting that I can go just have great sex, and not trying to accomplish anything. And then out of the blue, we both met. Neither one of us were actually like, let's meet. And here we are almost 24 years later. So,
Wow, that's very impressive. Thank you for sharing the story with me. Yeah, it's exactly like that. And sometimes we think, like no matter how we talk, like on a conscious level, like we just say, okay, I'm gonna do this, I want this, and I want like a good, healthy relationship. It's like no
mhm,
matter how much we say that, if we don't really uncover what's deeply happening and what's going on, and as you mentioned, like looking at ourselves under the microscope and seeing like patterns and everything, it's impossible to really like manifest a better love life.
mhm. And the thing is, I think the thing that you're bringing up, I love this, manifest a better love life. You can go do RTT and all this stuff and really unpack it, but along with it is the invitation to define, what does manifesting a good love life? What is that? What is a good love life? What does
Yeah.
manifesting look like? Are you saying I need to manifest it in a week? Okay, then you're not manifesting. Not saying it can't happen, but like really dig into the depths of, what does it mean to bring love into your life? How are you going to create the room? What does that look like? I mean, one of my favorite questions when I'm coaching somebody in the dating realm is, so what does dating look like to you? Like, what's the frequency? How often are you seeing this guy? Are you seeing multiple guys? When you're on a date, are you fully capable of being focused only on him?
Hmm.
Is dating including sex? If it's not including sex, are you clear in that expectation? Are you creating the boundaries? Sometimes I have to slow down, because then their eyes start to roll in the back of their head, like, oh my God, I didn't think about all this. But it's the really beautiful stuff. And here, back to the RTT stuff that you do and the hypnotherapy, I always find it interesting, Lonay, when I start asking some of those questions, and then I'll throw them the curveball. How is your dating reflective of the relationships that you were mirrored by your parents?
Yeah,
It's always a really interesting question,
it's a very powerful one. Yeah.
because most of us don't think about that.
No, not at all. They think like, oh, uh they think they're wrong, they're doing something wrong, they're not worthy,
Yeah.
they're not doing
Or
it
they're going
right.
completely opposite of what their parents did. And it's like, but are you? And what's behind that you feel like you have to go the complete opposite direction? Nothing wrong with that. I mean, sometimes, like, my parents' dynamic was not healthy. It's amazing that they're still together 60 some odd years, but um, it's not healthy. Even there's times now it's still not healthy, but yet they made it work. They chose to make it work. And I say they chose dysfunction. Sorry,
Yeah.
mom, if you're listening. I'm sure mom doesn't listen to these, but they
Sorry,
chose
mom.
dysfunction, and that's okay. But that's a mindfulness practice right there. Are you choosing dysfunction in your relationship? And another powerful question I ask a lot of people, and I'm sure you've done too, like, so you don't want toxicity or dysfunction. So what does toxicity and dysfunction look like in a relationship to you?
Yes, that is very important.
Because if you don't define that, you can't move forward into the higher space of what it really looks like. So I
No.
know you do a lot of work around love dynamics and really helping individuals and couples, in the LGBTQ space find that. What would you say love dynamic means to you? I know that's a loaded question because we could go a
It
whole
is.
hour just on that. But if you were to say love dynamic and love your perspective, then I'll throw my perspective once you throw yours in there.
Yeah, sure. So I would say for me, love dynamic is when both of you are like completely whole people, like a
Mm-hmm.
whole person, and then so finding a partner for me is not, someone to someone to complete me in the romantic sense, yes, of
Mm-hmm.
course, but in the psychological sense, I would say someone who would add more beauty into my
Mm-hmm.
life, but my life should already be beautiful. It's not like that's for me the love dynamic. And also, I would say there are three important pillars in any love dynamic. Is basically the like best friend chemistry. So to have
Mm-hmm.
like this chemistry, because I mean, you're going to spend probably most of your time with this person.
Mm-hmm.
So you need to be best friends. If you cannot be best friends, then that's already a red flag. The second thing is like respect for one another, so respecting boundaries and respecting each other's needs and wants. And of course, the sexual chemistry comes in the
Mm-hmm.
third place. And with like only with these three combined, then I would say it's a healthy love dynamic. And that's when that person or you add beauty to each other's lives without being extremely codependent on each other in an unhealthy way.
Mm-hmm. I love that. I love those three pillars. Those are really good because I think a lot of times people, especially as your relationship grows. Okay, so again, we're 24 years together now. Um, Obviously, we've navigated different ways of being respectful, not being respectful. The best friend place, I feel like that's a place that we definitely are settled into. Like, this is my person, you know.
Yeah.
Um, the sexual chemistry ebbs and flows. So I find people who really are focused on, well, the sexual chemistry is just not there. Like, I always
It
say, can you,
fluctuates, yeah.
yeah, and I always say, really? So can you just suck dick all your life and that's all you need? I mean, let's get real here, right? If that's all you're
Exactly.
getting out of the relationship, which for some people that's all they want. They just want really great sexual chemistry, but then what I've found is everything else is missing. And then they
Yeah.
wonder why the relationship isn't working. So I love these three pieces. It's interesting because, my version of the dynamic isn't far off. What I always say is your love dynamic should be something that codependency is not part of the equation,
Hmm.
where mutual respect guides how you look, see, and feel about each other. And
Hmm.
that even in the moments of silence, you realize it's the best friend you could ever have. And so it was interesting listening to you say it's like I almost felt like I was reading your mind in some ways, but it is an interesting. And here's the thing, guys that are listening to this or watching this on YouTube, your love dynamic can be whatever it is for you. Just because Lonay and I have given you some ideas. I mean, another piece of the love dynamic for me, and it kind of falls under the realm of trust. Okay. But another
Hmm.
piece of the love dynamic is trust without ever having to think about trust. It's almost like an embedded piece of the equation.
Yes.
Um, and I know we could go on and on about this, Lene, but I think there's such value you brought here, and I want to make sure we address one of the
Thank
things
you.
before we wrap up here. That you've got like you have a 10-week program that you run where people who are interested in this could really explore it with you. So, talk a little bit about that. Is it something they can do online? Can they do from a distance? Like, what encompasses that? Because I think this is something that even it guys, even, I'm assuming even if you're single, it could be something that could really help you out. So, give us a little preview
Yeah.
of that.
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's actually also especially for singles who are trying to, manifest a better love life. But of course,
Mm-hmm.
it can also be for couples who want to do this, like to, improve their relationship or so on. But yeah, thank you very much. I'm really like it was really nice talk. And yeah, so just to keep it brief, it's like a 10-week program that combines all the parts that I felt it's really helped me because I told you like I followed so many mentors and so on before I managed to like get out of my rut. And I realized for that to happen, I needed to combine kind of like the RTT with the coaching as well as mindfulness, and like meditations and so on. So this 10-week program, it includes all of that.
Okay.
And it's usually like I do it mainly on video calls. So no matter where you are, I can do that. And yeah, it focuses, it has different focuses, and it combines, so it will cover basically all sides or all aspects of attracting a healthy relationship. So it will work from toxic patterns and childhood issues to confidence and self-worth and all of that. So we will work on all these areas combined. And yeah, so it can be done anywhere. And because I'm really happy to be on this call, I'm actually now offering for the listeners now, like just like 5 free sessions for 5 different guys, basically. And
Awesome.
and then yeah, we can take it from there and see how it goes.
Well, that's very generous of you. So if somebody wanted to take advantage of it, what's the best way of them to take advantage of those 5 free sessions?
So on my website, there is a calendar, and you can just choose the right time for you and
Okay.
just book a call with me.
Okay. And should they note that they heard about it on 40 Plus podcast, so that you know that that's where it came from, so that you can keep track of the 5? Because
That would
guys,
be
don't take
great,
advantage
yes.
of him. Don't take advantage of him. Well, he is kind of cute. So if that's your thing,
Thank
then go
you.
take advantage of him. But no, I remember, guys, he's in Germany. So, let's remember there's going to be some time differences depending on where you might be in the world. But I
The
love
calendar,
that we get to do what we do all over the globe. It's one of my favorite things about being a coach, that I can work with people from all over the place and get so many
yeah.
beautiful different perspectives. So
Yeah, exactly. And don't worry about the times, like the calendar will show your
show
time
you,
zone
yeah,
according to my time. So
yeah,
yeah, just book any available one, and yeah, mention in the notes that you came through this podcast so I can know
awesome.
it's one of the 5
Well,
people.
again, that is very generous of you to do, and I so appreciate you. And I'm so glad we got to connect. And thank you for sharing all of the beauty, the beauty that you did today. And I'm fascinated by this. Like I said, I've done a little bit of RTT stuff with the therapist in the past, and it helped me so much in so many ways. And I look forward to seeing where you go with this. And hopefully, guys, go take advantage of this. This is a really amazing way to see if this might be a great way for you. Plus, I can't help y'all. I mean, I need some buddies like Lonay here to help, heal the world and heal the gay male population. So not that y'all need healing, but I admit I need healing. So if I can admit it, and Lonay's admitted he needed it, go take advantage of it. So once again, thank you all for being listeners. Lonay, thank you so much for being part of this. And it's been great. Guys, we'll be back in just another week with another episode. And Pride season's just around the corner, and there's a huge lineup of great Pride talks coming up. But again, Lonay, thank you so much for giving of your time and being with us today. Appreciate you.
That's a wrap for 40 Plus. Gay men, gay talk, where size doesn't matter. We drop our bullshit, get over our screwed up fears, make bold moves, and live life without apologies. Don't forget to join us on Facebook at 40 Plus, Gay Men, Gay Talk, where the conversations continue.